is Hatice Cengiz. I am addressing you as a victim, a title forced on me after the brutal murder of my Jamal.
Good morning. Hatice, it's so nice to have you here at the Oslo Freedom Forum.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me.
Of course.
And inviting me.
Of course.
And I'm feeling very interesting feelings, very emotional moments I had. And still, this video was amazing. I saw inside the studio. So what I feel, Jamal is still alive, more than he was. And it makes me more hopeful to get justice for Jamal.
Well,
So Jamal, it is Jamal's dream. It was Jamal's dream. So now his dream is alive, and he's alive, and it's another chapter starting without Jamal, but for Jamal and for everyone.
So this weekend, October 2nd, is the 3rd anniversary of the absolutely brutal killing of Jamal. And what, in terms of keeping him in his vision alive, can you tell us a little more about Jamal's vision for the Middle East, Jamal's activism? You talk about how he is very much alive, and you hadn't seen the projections that the Human Rights Foundation did all over New York to bring some of the attention to this beyond the film. What, in your view, is the vision of Jamal? What is it we are wanting to keep alive, and that some of the people here who have come from dozens and dozens of countries may not know specifically? What is that vision?
First of all, Jamal was asking evolution, not revolution, is the most important thing that we should say, because...
So evolution, not revolution.
Evolution, not revolution, is the most important point that we should know, because Jamal was not working against Saudi. Okay? So what I remember, Jamal was saying that in the Middle East, we have dictators, we have military regimes, we have repression system, and we have to we have to finish this. How we can do that? At the moment that there came some waves or something happened in the Middle East, 2010, he started saying that it is time to change, it is time to evolution. We should use these waves through truth, through democracy, through freedom, because the regimes in Saudi and in other Arab countries was not allowed to speak. There is no democracy in the Middle East, as you know. So he started speaking about democracy, and I remember, maybe you saw this. He was asking, I am asking for at least or in minimum. He meant that democracy. He was asking about democracy as a minimum. Can you imagine that? So, in democracy and freedom, the most important things in the Middle East, they don't have.
Right.
So that's why he started speaking. His maybe 10 last years in his life, he saw the opportunity to take and then use through the governments, and they changed this maybe not system, but you know. So his mission also, he was saying the same values in the Middle East we need reversed. The Middle East people, Arab people, deserve to live the same values like Western country. At least we should start with a little bit democracy, more freedom of speech, and also he, you know, there is no, not a lot of people like Jamal in the Middle East.
Right.
So he was a really different person as a person, and writer, thinker, and intellectual, and he had a lot of side. Because of this, we lost a lot of things. Because of this, you cannot find easily the Jamal as Jamal person in the Middle East. So that's why I'm seeking justice for Jamal, because we lost a very important man that maybe it will come really difficult like him.
Well, let's talk about the search for justice for Jamal. So one day you're a doctoral student pursuing a PhD, and within 48 hours you are the face of a global tragedy in a story that ended up being the biggest story of the year with so many stories, and you were essentially the face of this story, the face of this moral tragedy. Tell us a little bit about how difficult that was, that transition. What actually, what did you go through, and what does justice for Jamal mean to you?
In personal side, it was really difficult to understand what happened that day, 2nd of October. I didn't ask being a public speaker, but at the beginning, what happened to Jamal, 2nd of October 2018, it was a big shock, and I felt like the two different identity. Mm-hmm. As a ordered person or any simple Hatice in my life, as you said, academic or researcher or Turkish citizen, and doing the essential things in her life. At the same time, one day came, and then I become the part of a very big crime in the world, and it was huge for me to understand what's happening. So I still don't understand. Really, believe me. I'm asking why I'm here, why I am talking with you. You know, mm-hmm. And no, I mean it's a really. I still 3 years later, I'm asking this question every day, every morning. What happened to him? Why I become activist? I didn't ask this. I didn't ask being public speaker, and I didn't ask being activist. I didn't ask being who work in human rights issues. You know, I was a researcher in the Middle East and simple life. You know, every person, but the regimes or the international community or governments or powerful or money, the two faces in the world make me activist. It's not my choice, 100%.
And that is the sad reality of so many people in the Oslo Freedom Forum who are just living their lives. And then suddenly the horror of government, of a state that does not follow the rule of law, just reaches in and shakes them and punches them and pushes them. And before you know it, the plans they had for a particular life is completely uprooted. And like you said, you find yourself in this situation, kind of traumatized, not knowing how did I end up here? This is not what I planned. But you actually, as opposed to some who can't get back up, as opposed to some who simply just, these things happen to them and they are unable to respond to these things with the level of courage that you can, with what you have exhibited. Agnes Callamard, the UN Special Rapporteur for extrajudicial killings, she did an extensive investigation into the murder of Jamal. And she established and concluded that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, personally planned and premeditated the murder of Jamal with a team of people he sent into Turkey. Beyond this, every intelligence agency of Western countries, the United States specifically, concluded with absolute certainty that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is responsible for this murder. What does justice for Jamal, what does that look like for you? What does it look like?
My message is really clear. He shouldn't be Crown Prince. And he shouldn't be... a start. He shouldn't be king. And we have to punish him. We have to send him in jail, or he has to be held accountable. It's justice. And by the way, I just 10 minutes ago, before I came here, I received a message, sister of Abdurrahman said, Han, I don't know the Arij here or not. Arij, and they decide her brother 20 years prison and another 20 years travel ban.
For this young lady's brother?
Yes, no, his brother.
Right.
Abdurrahman Sadhan in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And he did not do anything. So when I saw these issues beside what happened to Jamal, because I become as an activist, as you said, but I not feel really activist still, but I understood, or I understand what's happening, and it encouraged me to be more, by the way. Mm-hmm. These stories and these people here, like Arij and his brother, and I don't know him, and I don't know Arij, but they make we are friends.
Well, you understand because you can sympathize with it. The thing that happens when, for instance, today we've had a number of people talk about situations in their own countries.
Yeah.
And people who are not involved in the human rights field, people who are watching, people who are in the audience, the thing is, once you know what has happened, once you understand what is happening, you have a choice.
Yes.
You can participate,
yes,
or you can look away.
But
if you look away, it's a reflection on you.
But if you have conscience, if you have conscience, you should understand.
Right. Yes, precisely.
But you cannot silence your conscience.
So while some people look away because they just don't want to deal with the responsibility and the accountability that we actually are all members of one large community, and we need to assist each other in realizing our individual rights, our individual freedom, and our individual sovereignty. And you've understood that, which is why you can immediately react to that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Has anyone from the Saudi government ever contacted you?
No, not at all.
In these 3 years, have you found yourself perhaps like under threat, or are they after you? Of course,
every day. They're attacking me on social media every day, and they're targeting me, they're following me. And when I was in London, if you remember, and then they were following me there. So, and they swear every day, and the social media, they try to do what they can do.
Well, in London, I remember that you had an apartment in London, and they got themselves an apartment across the street.
Yeah.
So they could watch you all the time, so they could see what you were doing. And then
unfortunately, I didn't know that at that time, but I knew a while after.
Well, they are, I mean, it's quite remarkable. You have this trillionaire psychopath who is named as the potential future king of Saudi Arabia. And then you have you. You're not a trillionaire or a millionaire, and yet you stand with one thing, which is the truth and your voice, and they are absolutely terrified of you.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's
really
incredible. What can we do? How can this community, how can the people watching help you?
They shouldn't forget what happened to Jamal. We need to remember Jamal, and because he paid a very high price for these values that we are talking about. And we also need to support this campaign, Justice for Jamal. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the main essential things they can do. And also, Thor, I remember, I want to say it's a very important, my notice. At the beginning of this crime, the 2018, I remember that the people was calling me from everywhere. But the most important thing is the governments, the part of the Human Rights Council mm-hmm. belongs to governments in Europe, you know. So the governments was calling me, and the big media outlets was calling me every day. And then 6 months later, maybe a year later, the human rights foundations, they continue to calling me from the beginning at the end or until now. What I want to say from this, because of the politics, because of the relationships, because of the money, power of money, mm-hmm. the people get away step by step from this case. Now, who talks about this issue? It's human rights defenders mm-hmm. and human rights foundations as you, and also Freedom From, one of them. So we should keep this strong, these companies or this side. And I was in DC a couple of days ago, and it's a really sad, just I saw some human rights defenders there. And they start tweeting about what's happening in DC, because we are protesting in front of consulate in Saudi embassy in Washington. And then the media or big media outlet took from them, and then they start tweeting about what's happening in DC. What I'm saying, the word make us activists or the human rights defender, but they follow us, what we are doing, and they took from us as news. Have you understand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, do you believe that justice will be done for Jamal?
Yes, of course, one day.
Well, Hatice, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.